Hey everybody, Jason Michaels here with Stephen Bargatze.
Yeah.
Hey, it's cold outside.
Yes, it is. And you can see I'm still in my chair, still dealing with a big bow boot on my foot and everything. So I can't even go out and enjoy. I would say the snow, but it's not snow. It's ice.
Oh no, it's nasty outside. It's brutal. If you don't live in the Middle Tennessee area and you happen to be watching this, I went outside yesterday and the grass in my neighborhood was not covered with much of anything, but every pavement, every hard surface, it was like an inch thick of ice, and it was you got to be careful out there.
Yeah. This is a good time to stay home and listen to a podcast.
Oh, you know what? That's a perfect transition for what we're doing here. So let's talk about today's podcast. Today's podcast is episode number 4. You and I both talk with Zak Mirz, and he has a really interesting story. His parents both immigrated here. His dad was from Iran, and his mom was from Afghanistan. And he was born. He's a first generation American, and he has a wild story.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it in a second. But one of the cool things about this doing this podcast is that Zak is a magician, and so
He's a very good magician.
And he's a good magician. And one of the things that we talked a lot about comedy, and I want to play one of the clips. And then we can talk about one of the things that we talked for like 15, 20 minutes about comedy and magic. And so I'm going to throw up one of the really short clips of what he was talking about. Watch this real quick.
And this is something I learned from Pete Holmes as well. I'm a big Pete Holmes fan, but he said, and this is where it really clicked with me. He said, if you could just make the audience laugh, you could give them whatever you need to give them, whatever message, whatever, anything. So that's kind of my philosophy is if you could just get them on your side, if you could just make them laugh, if you could just make them have a good time.
So, you're the comedy guy. That I play around with comedy. And when I say play around, I mean really a little tiny bit play around. But you and Zak talked for probably 15 minutes about comedy.
Yeah, you kind of dabble in comedy. But I kid Jason because Jason is always he's David Copperfield funny, and which kind of means it's got to be in the script and part of it. And
I'm not impromptu funny.
No, but you could be funny. Don't take it away from you. And this is very interesting, and it was great. I couldn't agree with him any more than just just like he's figured it out, and he's figured it out as a pretty young guy and stuff, and that's great. And it really is. If you're interested in comedy at all, and you want to kind of think, there's some really good insights in this podcast. They go along with a great story. Yeah.
No. There's no doubt about that. Hey, what's cool about getting to do Facebook Lives is that people sometimes comment. And talking about funny guys, Austin Braswell, who used to live here, I think he lives in Atlanta now. He's watching. He said, "Hey, Jason. Hey, Austin." Austin was he was a funny guy. He was really good with physical comedy. And so, but in this. You guys talk a lot about comedy, but it's not all about comedy, because one of the reasons, in my opinion, the main reason that I wanted Zak to be part of this this podcast was because he has a story of overcoming. I like it. Overcoming some real personal tragedy with and you know what, I don't want to give up too much, but I want to give up enough. So his story is a story that you never want to hear, because you never want to hear about someone coming to this country to go after their American dream and then having the worst thing that in the world happen that basically completely not destroys, but completely changes his entire family. And it could easily destroy somebody's life, but Zak does not allow that to happen. Zak says, okay, hold on. Now we have more people. And Jason Mosley says, "Hey, Jason." So I like the fact that people are tuning in, but
that's what my phone was.
I have another clip, but that I want to play because one of the things that he says is very, in my opinion, is very powerful. So watch this clip really quickly about how he uses his story and his magic to connect with his audience. So watch this real quick.
Story is like, as I've grown older, what I've realized is like outside of the comedy world and the magic world, like this is what we do. But I think a better question is asking ourselves why we do it. And for me, part of the reason why I do it is to share a message of love, hope, grace, and redemption to young adults and college students all over the nation. And I talk about, my full story about my father and how we have a heavenly father, and just giving a message of hope to people. And through that, I've realized we're so much bigger than just what we do.
We're so much bigger than just what we do, which I think is, that's, as I was editing the podcast, when he said that, it really struck me. And I was like, wow, I have to really think hard about that. And he talks about how you can do good in the world through what we do. So, but he has a great story about the time that his hero FaceTimed him, his hero being David Blaine.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be me.
Well, you know what? I did too, Stephen. Ken Scott says, Jason, you are much funnier than Stephen. I don't know about that, Ken, but
yeah, that's coming from Ken Scott.
Is Ken Scott Copperfield funny too, Stephen?
Yeah, I don't know. Who's funny is I have to come up. I wish I'd have thought of something. Ken Scott is as funny as. I need to finish that sentence.
Finish that sentence, exactly. So anyway, we'll bring this to a close. What are your final thoughts? Why should people tune in and watch this podcast, Stephen?
Well, first of all, if you're not already there, I don't know if you're going to get there with the two clips that you played and everything. You're just going to meet a really good kid, a really nice kid. And
when you say kid, I mean he's like 30 something years old.
Yeah, so. Like I said, you're going to meet a kid that he looks way younger than he is. But no, it's just a heartwarming, but also just a feel good. But there's some really good information in here from Zak, and I was very proud to get to know him, and I think you will too by watching this.
So you guys can check it out, jasonmichaelsmagic.com.
I don't think it's as long as this promo, is it?
What is it?
It's probably not as long as this promo is.
Yeah. A couple of places you can get it. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on my website. And you can check the podcast out on Stitcher, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. You can download and listen to it. It is all one word, #DoTheImpossible podcast with right. Jason and Stephen, episode 4. Stephen, thank you very much.
Yeah. And well, if you really want to get anything, go to Ken Scott's Magic, check out his website, and then it can only go up. Go up, and you can go, wow, that was a waste of time.
That's what happens when you mess with the bull, you get the horns, right, Stephen?
That's right.
There Ken you go. Scott. All right, guys. Thanks so much. See you soon.
See you.